So David Brown's previous best is 258 kilos, so he is upping that by 2 kilos to 260. Again, he's a lifter lifting in the 75 kilo division, so he is a very small lifter, weighing only 165, squatting 573.
The reigning Raw Nats champ from just last year, and
Very
his
deep
first
squat.
Arnold. What a grind as he lets out a let's go at the top.
Let's see what the referees say. 3 white lights.
Dave broke his M1 75 kg USAPL world record with that lift. And that was the beginning of a very big day for David and I. So this is the 2025 Arnold Classic Sports Fest Masters Challenge. It is an invitation-only pro meet with prize money to be won. So needless to say, you can't have all the masters just compete together without some way of leveling the playing field. So what they do is they essentially assign a coefficient based on age and weight to each lifter's total. And that coefficient derives upon a points system, what they call dots. And that way, all the lifters can compete against each other regardless of what their age is and what their body weight is. This was a learning experience for myself. Step one was scouting our competition. There was about 40 lifters, if I'm not mistaken, between 35 and 40. And so we had to essentially stock lifters based on the roster that we saw. And then a very useful tool that is available is something called openpowerlifting.org. Openpowerlifting.org is, in my opinion, the single most useful tool for any coach game planning for powerlifting competition. On openpowerlifting.org, you can search up by name any lifter who has competed in any organization or sanctioned body over the last probably more than a decade. I'm in there. Needless to say, all of Dave's competition was in there. So we were able to look at their best lifts, their best totals, and then project what they might be able to get at the Masters Challenge at the Arnold Sports Fest. So any coach that is worth his weight is going to be over-prepared, and I am no exception. So here is my scouting sheet for Dave's competition. Right here is obviously David, and right now I have punched in what their body weight was at the meet as well as their age. However, keep in mind that prior to the meet, I didn't know their body weight, nor did I know their actual age. That's important. However, I was able to at least look at what I thought their body weight might be. Again, stalking them on Instagram, looking at their physique, right? And then what their age was at their last, or I should say their most recent meet on openpowerlifting.org. So keep that in mind as you look at these numbers as far as body weight and age. These were official numbers at the meet, but I didn't have that going into the meet as I was scouting the competition. So what I've done here is I punched in David's projected second attempts. Just like all powerlifters, we go in with a game plan of openers, second attempts, and then of course, third attempts based on what we feel like they can get on a perfect day and what, kind of what we call a B attempt, a backup plan. These were all David's second attempts. And with his body weight of just under 74 kilos, 48 years old, this would be his total. That would be his dots before his age was taken into consideration. This is the age coefficient. So they take the dots times 1.048. That is his final dot score. You can see that based on Dave's second attempts, his dot score far exceeded all of the competition based on their best lifts that I could find in openpowerlifting.org. So needless to say, a lot of the pressure was on me as the coach. When you're going into a game and on paper, you should win going away. If you lose, largely the coach is going to be to blame for that. So this scouting sheet gave me an idea that I needed to watch for this lifter here who had a 504 dots and this lifter here who had a 514 dots. Let's start getting into the actual game, the powerlifting meet.
Talk to me a little bit more about what it is these lifters are allowed to wear on the platform.
You got it, Kevin. So being that this is the Masters Raw Challenge, Raw dictates a certain level of equipment that is allowed. Earlier, we had some equipped benches going on. You'll see a little bit of equipment throughout the weekend, like a squat suit or knee wraps, but that's not for this. All the lifters are allowed to wear are a set of wrist wraps, a belt, and some knee sleeves. The knee sleeves add a fair bit, depending on how good you are with them. For the second flights, 257.5 for David Brown on one, and 272.5 for Elgin Garnett.
This will be a 2.5 kilo PR by David Brown if successful for the second attempt, and a PR match by Elgin on platform 2.
On platform 1.
So David Brown's previous best is 258 kilos, so he is upping that by 2 kilos to 260. Again, he's a lifter lifting in the 75 kilo division, so he is a very small lifter, weighing only 165, squatting 573.
The reigning Raw Nats champ from just last year, and
Very
his
deep
first
squat.
Arnold. What a grind as he lets out a let's go at the top.
Let's see what the referees say. 3 white lights. Undeniable.
All right, gang. So after all the attempts of squat were done, I took the time to update my sheet. Now, keep in mind, I am mindful of what is going on with the other competitors. By mindful, I mean I'm looking at their dot score and kind of where we are now. But when it comes to the squat and the bench press, I don't deviate from my plan at all. Put exactly the attempts in that I know that David can get, and then worry more so about placing and where we are as far as dot score goes for the deadlift. However, after this first lift, the squat, I went ahead and updated my sheet, and you can see at this point here, David was barely in the lead over Dwayne. And now it looks like that these lifters might be out of it by dots. And on game day, for all intents and purposes, I kind of figured at this point, Elgin Garnett was probably kind of out of the running, because I was projecting that he would get about a 277.5 kilo squat. And as it turned out, he missed both his second and his third attempts, which would have got him close to that. Now, Matt here has a huge bench press. We needed to see where we were after we got done with the bench press. So without further ado, let's get into lift 2, the bench press of game day.
So David Brown is actually opening above what his previous competition max is. This is his first appearance here at the Arnold. His previous max is 160 kilos, and here he is opening up with 162.5. Let's see how this strategy plays out for him here. Seems to have worked well. He seems to have gotten a lot stronger since his previous competition. £300. That is over twice his body weight.
Bench press has been a bit of a rough spot for Dave and I as of late. At USAPL Raw Nationals last year, they put the safeties up too high. I think if I remember right, I put like 5 for the safeties. They accidentally wrote down 6, or else they misinterpreted it when they typed it from the lifter's card into the machine. And we only went 1 for 3 on bench press there. And as you can see here, we only went 1 for 3 on bench press here. Dave got his opener. And then they got him for the lockout. They weren't happy with the lockout on the last lift of 167.5. So here's where we are right now with bench press. Elgin here, he missed both of his attempts for the second and third. He got his opener only. And Matt's bench press was not nearly as robust as I thought it was going to be. He missed 150.5 He put a chip on there, trying to get a world record. So what would it have been if he would have got 150? It would have got him closer. But as you can see here, after the bench, here's our dot scores with Dave in first by a pretty healthy lead. So now it goes on to the deadlift. And now is where we start really paying attention to potential as well as what we have planned. And you can clearly see at this point here, the only competitor that had a shot was Dwayne here. And largely that's because he's strong. He's about Dave's body weight, and he's got that big coefficient. So with that being said, we strategized a little bit. Dwayne's best deadlift at any point was 242.5. We had on tap for Dave to get up to, he's got 270 in the gym. And you can see there, we would not need 270 if indeed Dwayne matched his best ever in a meet. In fact, really, say that he got a meet PR at 245. We were still not going to need a 270, okay? So basically what we had planned was just stick to our guns, see what Dwayne gets, and then basically we just had to get enough that we beat Dwayne. 260 would not have done that, obviously. 262.5 would have been just enough. But, I always like to make sure that I have more than enough. So with that all being said, let's watch what happened as we went through the first 2 attempts on deadlift. After second attempts, here is where we were. And if we just put all of those right into the best deadlift, you could see that Dwayne was our closest competition. And likewise, even if we put in something that Dave could not get and we had to settle for 260, both Elgin and Matt would have had to really do something not achievable in order to catch Dave. Because both of these, that one Elgin got in the gym. So he would have had to set a lifetime PR and he still would not have got to Dave. Likewise, Matt would have had to send something really outrageous and he still would not have gotten it. Now, that being said, Dwayne here, his best deadlift was 242.5. And that would not have beaten Dave, as you can see. But if I was Dwayne's coach, I would have essentially put in something that I thought was achievable, but at the same time, something that he has never done before, something to the effect of 247.5. That would obviously have sent him into the lead. However, what he basically decided to go for was 245, just enough to edge out Dave if he missed his third attempt. Let's watch Dwayne's pull. So, as you could see, not only was that a PR, or at least a meet PR for Dwayne, it also was a world record for a Master 2 lifter in the 75 kg weight class. And that put the pressure on Dave because no longer could we just kind of quote unquote rest on our laurels and just put, something in and then rely on 260 to be enough to win. Dave definitely needed to pull for the win. I needed to put in something that I knew would get Dave the win. And Dave had pulled 600 pounds in the gym before. So knowing that, we were not going to go for 600, knowing that if he missed it and we had to rely on 260, there's a good chance he was not going to win. So we were definitely going to put in something that was not close, something that was achievable, but at the same time, we knew was going to give him the win. 265 was our attempt that we put in, and that would essentially solidify the win if he could pull it. All right, and the rest is history. David come out on top, 523 to 520, and earned himself $1,000 prize money in the process. So it was a close one, but doing our due diligence, scouting all of our closest competition, and then, of course, handling and tracking our closest competition during the meet is essentially what ensured us the win. So mission accomplished, and I can honestly say that was probably one of the most fun times I have had as a coach handling someone on the platform. Probably even more fun than me pulling for the win back in May of 2024 at the Masters World Cup. I'll link that if you wanted to watch that and how we handled. But again, due diligence and just a little bit of scouting while ensuring that we stayed within our means, but still put in attempts that we knew could win was what got Dave out on top. So I hope you enjoyed that summary and a bit of a lesson in platform coaching and handling. Enjoy the photos that we got for memories of what was a well-fought and well-earned win.
It's session 2, right?
Yes, correct.
Powerlifting program. This course has 3 programs in it and should serve a wide variety of would-be powerlifters. Each of these programs could be your prep for a powerlifting meet.